Hey, it's Yvette with Superpower School. I'm so excited. Today we have our first podcast guest, the amazing Mandy Alvarado. She's based in Hawaii. We'll let her talk more about what she's up to. But you can find us on Positive Living Maestro on YouTube, Anchor, and Spotify, and on our website, superpowerschool.org. And you can head over to Facebook and check us out there at Superpower School Co-Ed. Hope you're having a great day. Hey, Mandy, how are you today?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm happy to see you. You look fantastic. Happy Christmas
Thank you.
Eve.
Yeah, Merry Christmas Eve.
So, do you want to give us an overview of who you are and what you do before we get going?
Yeah, my name is Mandy, and I am currently an unlicensed therapist out in Hawaii. And basically, what that means is I've finished school, but not my hours yet. I'll be on track to get my license this summer.
Awesome.
And I specifically focus on trauma, mainly with sexual assault and domestic violence, but my other expertise, if you will, would be working in child behavior, so working on behavior modification in kiddos.
Wow, that's quite a bit of stuff. I'm impressed. So, what keeps you perky? You look like, I'm not a trauma therapist at all. I have endured my own trauma, but gee, looking at you, you're so fit and healthy and alive. What is it that you do to, um, what's the word I want to say? Like, you can't walk in with an umbrella because you obviously have to engage and interact with people who are suffering. How do you manage that in your own personal life?
I manage it. So it's always an ongoing process, and there's definitely up days and down days. But trying to keep it as much as an even up and down than a full-fledged roller coaster is a lot easier. But I think just having your support system. I have a very loving fiance. I have really good friends, and then also just engaging in things that I know will benefit my well-being. So good food, healthy exercise, anything that really kind of is medicine for me.
Excellent. That sounds really healthy. And that's kind of what we do here at Positive Living Maestro stuff. Everything is about well being, mindfulness, and resilience. So, what you're talking about is right up our alley. So, there's one big question that we're going to start asking every time we meet with somebody. And the question is think of something that was really hard for you or just horrible in your life. And now that you got that thought in your mind, what was it that you did to get over it? How did you get past it?
So I always find like these kinds of questions really interesting, especially when I work in trauma, right? Like, what's something that's like the most terrible thing that just happened to you, and how can I help you, right?
Yeah.
So coming from my background, but also just personally, like I think dealing with my father's death was probably one of the biggest, traumas that occurred. And the fact of the matter is it's still going, right? So like every day is still a process with it. He passed away 3 years ago in November,
I'm sorry.
and I think that I'm still, working on it, and that's kind of what trauma is, though. We deal with it every day, and we hope that in the long run it's just smaller and smaller, more manageable, more being able to be present with it instead of avoiding it or being immersed in it. So it's trying to find that balance.
That sounds really important to get the difference between. So let me ask you a little bit deeper on that then. While you're being present with it, what does that mean? I mean, are you talking about letting yourself relive the day that it happened? Or what do you mean by being present with it so that you can get better?
Yeah, I think that everybody's different with it. So for me personally, when I'm present with it, it's almost like a cloud passing by. Like I witness it, I look at it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a really sad moment, or that was a really happy moment, and I miss him. Right, I
Yeah.
miss my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes with trauma, we can get immersed in it, where it's like, oh my gosh, why am I feeling sick? Why is my stomach hurting? Why am I all of a sudden crying? Oh, maybe it's because of, this grief that I'm having. And then you jump down into this rabbit hole of like, I'm sad because of this, and I'm
Yeah.
hurt because of this. And it can be suffocating when you get too immersed in it. But yeah, being present, I think, is being able to acknowledge where your body's at, where your breath's at, where your thoughts are at, and being able to express yourself though too. Like, oh, okay, like yeah, I am sad. That's all right.
Yeah.
And I know why I'm sad.
That sounds really important. Thank you for sharing that. Oh. And this is Yvette with Superpower School, and we're at Positive Living Maestro on a podcast over at Spotify, YouTube, on Facebook, and superpowerschool.org. And come over there and learn more about how to deal with trauma in your life. We're working with Mandy Alvarado today, and she's about to explain a little bit more about separating the difference between feeling like you're like maybe you go back into the day, like suddenly you have the grief you talked